All right, let's get right into it. There's a question making the rounds in the tech world that's got a lot of people spooked. And honestly, it's all because of some pretty wild numbers that have been coming out.
Yeah, this isn't some far-off what-if scenario anymore. I mean, with these super smart AI coding tools popping up, everyone, from the brand new dev to the top-level architect, is kind of looking over their shoulder, right? Wondering, hey, is my job about to disappear? But before we jump to conclusions, let's actually look at the data, because that's where the real story is.
100%. Let that sink in. We're talking about the amount of code that AI is now writing at the big name companies. Think Anthropic, think OpenAI. And no, that's not a typo. The very people who are creating these AI models, they're already using them to write pretty much all of their new code.
And look, this isn't just happening in those cutting-edge labs. A whopping 84%, that's most developers, are now saying they use AI tools every single day or at least every week. The adoption has been just explosive. This isn't some niche gadget for early adopters anymore. It's quickly becoming the standard way to get work done.
Okay, but here's where it really hits home. Researchers over at Stanford found something pretty stark. A nearly 20% drop in jobs for junior software engineers. And that's just in the span between 2022 and 2025. So that classic path into a tech career, it's getting way, way harder to find. Now, I know what you're thinking. That sounds bad, really bad. But hold on, because the picture isn't quite as bleak as it seems.
See, what we're really seeing here isn't the end of programming. It's a massive shift, a transformation. The job itself is changing. It's moving away from just, grinding out line after line of perfect syntax and becoming something that feels a whole lot more like having a conversation.
And what's really wild is this isn't new. I mean, not really. We've been heading in this direction for decades. Programming has always been about making things more abstract. Think about it. We went from flipping physical switches to assembly language all the way to modern frameworks. Every single step was about automating the boring, tedious stuff so we could tackle bigger, more interesting problems. AI agents, they're just the next logical step. And, okay, probably the biggest and most powerful leap yet.
And this new way of working even has a cool name, vibe coding. Seriously, the idea is instead of writing out super precise line-by-line instructions, you just describe what you want. You give it the vibe. You say something like, hey, build me a dashboard that shows our sales data. And the AI just takes that feeling, that vibe, and turns it into all the real files, functions, and APIs you need. It's a huge shift from worrying about the syntax to just focusing on the meaning. You know, the guy who created one of the top AI coding tools put it perfectly. He said, coding is practically solved. And what he means is that the basic mechanical part of turning an idea into working code, yeah, that's becoming a solved problem. So if the AI is handling the how, what's left for us humans to do? Well, as it turns out, a lot.
And that right there brings us to maybe the most important part of this whole discussion, the place where human skill isn't just needed, it's more valuable than ever before. Because here's the thing, AI is an amazing, incredibly powerful tool, but it's far from perfect. It's got some major flaws. It really breaks down into two buckets. On one side, you have AI. It's fantastic at specific, well-defined stuff. Writing a common algorithm, cranking out boilerplate code, things with clear rules. But on the other side, you have us, humans. We're great when things are messy and ambiguous. We're the ones who design the big picture systems architecture, who figure out what a client really wants when they're being vague, who make the tough ethical calls, and who understand the deep business reasons why we're even writing the code in the first place. AI, it just can't do that stuff.
And don't get me started on AI's weaknesses. It's Achilles' heel. It hallucinates. I mean, it will literally just make up fake software libraries and act like they're totally real. It can introduce massive security holes. It has the memory of a goldfish, completely forgetting decisions you made 5 minutes ago. And if you're not careful, it can churn out a tangled mess of code that's an absolute nightmare to maintain down the road. You absolutely need a human expert in the driver's seat to manage all that.
Which leads us to this really interesting paradox, right? This tool that can write code on its own actually makes experienced human developers more valuable, not less. So why is that? Well, think about it. All those skills you need to deal with AI's weaknesses, designing huge, complex systems, spotting security flaws in the AI's code, providing that critical context, those are the exact skills that make a senior engineer a senior engineer. They can basically take this AI and use it like a superpower, getting the work of a whole team done by themselves.
So what does this all mean for the future? What's it going to look like? Well, we're basically stepping into a new era, the age of AI orchestration. The number one most valuable skill isn't going to be typing out perfect lines of code anymore. It's going to be managing and directing whole teams of AI agents, getting them to work together to build something complex and reliable.
The new playbook is all about being the director, the big picture thinker. It's about designing the master plan, that's your system's architecture. It's about checking the AI's homework with really tough testing. It's using your deep knowledge of a specific field, your domain expertise, to steer the whole project. And of course, it's about being the ethical backstop. That is what it's going to mean to be a builder from now on.
And this leads to something I think is genuinely exciting. It's making it possible for anyone to build software. Think about it. A doctor can now create her own diagnostic tool. A scientist can spin up a new data model for their research. An entrepreneur can get a prototype for their big idea built in an afternoon, and all they have to do is describe what they want. The power to create is breaking out of the software engineering silo.
There's this great quote that just nails this new reality perfectly. The future belongs to the conductors, not the typists. And that's exactly it. We're moving away from being the typists, focused on every little keystroke, and we're becoming the conductors, leading this whole orchestra of AIs to create something amazing.
So, no, programming isn't ending, not at all. It's just leveling up. It's moving to a higher level of thinking. That terrifying blank editor screen that has stopped so many great ideas, it's gone. For the very first time in history, if you have a great idea, the tools are right there for you to make it real. So the only question left for all of us is, what are you going to build?